this week we started off at Michael's. We bought the rest of our supplies for our telescope. We got a magnifying lens that I'm holding and another tube to add to the Pringles tube that I had and the other magnifying glass that Heather had. So hopefully this week we will be able to put our telescope together. For that project this week I also did a little bit more research on the history of Hubble and found this timeline, which I thought summed up the history of the telescope quite well. For our online things this week, we had a discussion about the this was a TED Talk about boys and gaming, and I do like the TED Talks. They're basically ideas that are worth spreading. I believe they're put on by a nonprofit organization, and I thought that this week's topic was interesting, and I definitely agree with the points that Allie brought up at the end of her lecture about incorporating better video games in order to engage boys in learning, because they tend to, or statistically they show to have more learning disorders than girls. And for our neat resource, we did one about massive online open courses, and I have heard of these before, but I didn't know the term for them. I like the idea of them because they are free. Most of them are, at least, which is very appealing considering how much tuition is increasing over the past years and how it is still increasing. I found an article that basically compared these massive online open courses to smaller private online classes. I do think that this might be a better alternative, but at the same time it's not as cost effective. So for this week in class, we learned about different waves on Tuesday. So here's kind of the boards that we did about all the different rays, and basically as we started from, I don't think I have the picture of the radio waves, but that was first. As we went up through everybody's boards, the frequencies were increasing and the wavelengths were decreasing. We kind of learned some cool applications about each of the rays, and we learned about how pretty much all of them has the sun as a natural resource. The ones that we did, we learned that radar guns are actually use microwaves in order to run, and infrared radiation is being used for a cool new medical thermography, which basically helps detect diseases in the body. So I had a picture here that I thought kind of summed it up nicely. It shows the size of the different rays and shows how the frequency is getting more and more as you go up from radio to gamma. And on Thursday, we had these big blue light boxes. I didn't really take much pictures. I wasn't thinking about it on Thursday, but here's the notes that I used, or that I took from each of the different experiments, and I thought this was a cool hands-on activity to do. I was able to see, we were able to see how light reflected, it always reflects at the same degree. And so, and that degree is known as the degree of incidence. And we basically learned that when light reflects off of a curved surface, it will actually refract at certain angles, and this means that it's bending. So this is relatable to my life, especially right now, because I feel like all of my friends are getting married. I am getting closer to that age, I guess. And so all of them are showing me their diamonds. And I have a picture of that here. So what we learned in class kind of helps explain why diamonds sparkle, and not only why, it gave me a better idea of what people are talking about when they want a good cut. This kind of shows how you want a good cut because it helps refract or bend the light at the correct angle in order for you to visibly see all the colors. And if the cut is obviously too shallow or too deep, it won't refract at the right angle. And basically in a diamond is so dense, so the light is always the same speed, the speed of light, but since it's so dense, it's being absorbed at certain points and it's bending, and all of these bends are creating all of this light, and it takes, basically through diamond, it takes longer for the light to travel through, so it sparkles. So this week I spent just about 5 hours for the week outside of class. I'm expecting to spend a lot more time next week because I am planning on working more on my rough draft for my controversial debate topic, as well as hopefully attending a cultural science lecture. And so I'll see you next week.